Hello again, everybody. It is April 2019 already. Can you believe that? Here I am, back sticking to my monthly channel updates, each releasing the first week of the month. This one's for April. So I completed Chrono Cross on time. If you haven't watched it, please go do so. I think it's up here somewhere. I think you'll like what I have to say, or at the very least concede that it's interesting. For a while there, it didn't look like Chrono Cross was going to release in March. I had no idea what to say exactly. I did have a rough draft written. This was right up until the 25th of March or so, and then I settled on a 5 and 5 sort of idea that I feel like fit with the interdimensional travel thing in the game. I think it turned out well. Also squeezed in there was an impromptu GameStop video. I whipped that up the very night I saw the news. I don't usually make my videos that way. A little behind the scenes bit, my shareware video, how shareware turned me into a gamer, or whatever it's called. That was actually supposed to be what filled in for Chrono Cross. I thought I was going to have to put the game off. Another reason being that I was thinking about playing through Chrono Trigger, maybe to get footage, because I mentioned Chrono Trigger in my Chrono Cross video. Another reason was I was thinking about doing a side-by-side thing, but I mean, what can you really say about Chrono Trigger that hasn't been said already? And on top of that, I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew and fall behind, so I didn't do that. Just the other day, I picked up this, a 6 terabyte drive that I plan to use solely for this channel. Up until this point, which I understand is not very far, I've been working with a 1 terabyte drive. Surprisingly, after completing Suikoden 3, most of that drive was eaten up. 6, maybe 700 gigs. I wasn't able to get very far into Chrono Cross without the remainder of the drive filling up. I mean, it was getting pretty close. I know I could have deleted my Suikoden 3 footage, but I spent so long recording it, and that was like my first major video that I had made, that I wanted to hold on to it for a bit longer. And also in case I decided I wanted to use it for another video, which I can't do that now. But what's even worse is that I couldn't work on multiple things at a time, because having separate projects and separate piles of footage adds up so quickly that, yeah, 1 terabyte's nothing. Also in these updates, I may or may not include like recent hauls that I've made on like retro products or stuff. I'm just kind of toying with ideas. I visited a retro store recently that had like a reopening. The owner moved to a much bigger location. It's like 3 times the size that it was. And I picked up a few things. First, I got this shirt. Anybody? Yeah, that's like the freaking coolest Earthbound shirt I've ever seen. I also picked up Who Framed Roger Rabbit for NES. I remember this being an awesome game. It's got the manual. Woohoo! I know a lot of people, you know, take it or leave it, love it or hate it. But I always remembered liking it, so we'll see. Maybe I'll do a video here on that. I also got, I have no idea how to say this. I understand it's what, Faxanadu? I don't know how to pronounce it. Guy told me it's a little bit like Zelda 2, so I think that's all he really needed to tell me. Big fan of Zelda 2. I also picked up a Nintendo Power. I'm going to start trying to rebuild. I used to own a lot of these. Don't know what happened to them. But I figured, I saw Castlevania. I was like, wow, that was a big game for me back in the day. I remember loving Castlevania 64. Probably wouldn't like it now. But yeah, I also saw Game Boy Color, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. That's going back. So I'm going to start recollecting these bad boys. So I may or may not do that on this channel. You know, put out things that I've been buying. Things that I've been finding that I think people might find interesting. So this is my 2-month mark for making 2019 the first year I start to focus more on the channel. I say 2 months even though we're 4 months in, just because I gauge it by how many major videos I've completed. Suikoden 3 was my first one. I worked on that in January, released it in February. And Chrono Cross, I worked on that in February, released it in March. So I gauge it that way. So it's my 2-month mark for some kind of like 1 month behind, so to speak. But that's because I spent January working on my first video. I'm proud of myself for keeping up. It's not something... It's probably my first New Year's resolution ever that I've stuck with. But I'm very grateful to the audience that I have for sticking with me. I know a lot of people say it, and it really doesn't carry a lot of weight, but if you think about it this way, and it's especially true for a channel like mine where I'm very, 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 very small, if no one watches, then there's no point. So thank you. Thank you to the people who've been watching, leaving comments, etc. Wouldn't be here without you. And it snowballs. You know, the support that I do get just makes me more and more and more excited for my next video. So what is my next video? Well, in case you couldn't tell from the tiny little thumbnail that I tried to get creative making, it's The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I won't say much because that's what the video will be for. But what I can say is even before I even started playing Suikoden 3 to make that video, I knew that Skyward Sword was going to be one that I wanted to make a video on because I think it's one of the better Zelda games. So if all goes according to plan, again, I'll mention this in every update, that will release the latter half of this month, April. So that's pretty much it for this month's update. Be on the lookout for my Zelda video, and whatever else I decide to upload in the meantime. I'll try to keep an eye out for topics. And until next time, thanks for tuning in. Thank you. And I will see you in the next video.